And a great Saturday afternoon to you, Dog Nation. It is so nice to be speaking to you here from just the shadow of Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium, where in really less than an hour from now, Georgia will take on itself in the G-Day scrimmage. Great to have you with us for our Kroger kickoff here today on G-Day in and around Athens, and so much fun, so many festivities for us to go and describe for you here over the course of the next couple of minutes as we get ready for the annual spring game scrimmage coming up at 2 p.m. that you can watch for yourself on SEC Network Plus. Of course, everything that we're doing for you here today brought to you by our friends at Kroger. And I joked about this on DawgNation Daily on Friday that for me, G-Day, whenever date it finally arrives, is kind of the unofficial end of spring for me. I like to think of the day after G-Day as the first day of summer. That's the way I've just kind of always thought about it. And so for so many of you, maybe you feel the same way. Well, the good thing to know is when you're getting ready for your summer, whether it's big savings on patio furniture or ice cream or all the stuff that kind of goes along with making your summer a ton of fun, Kroger's got you covered for all of it, outdoor furniture and everything that goes along with that. Here's the website for you to check out. It's Kroger.com/summer. Kroger.com/summer. You can find out a whole lot more about all the ways in which Kroger's got you covered as we head towards the final season we have to get through before we're back here doing all of this at Sanford Stadium again for real and the start of the 2021 season. Of course, this not exactly that today, red team versus black team, but, and we'll show you this on the video screen, you'll get a chance to see what happened here just outside Sanford Stadium a couple of minutes ago when the Georgia team itself arrived, and certainly a lot of energy and a lot of excitement from the first team offense, which we paired with the second team defense. The second team offense paired with the first team defense. They'll be representing the black team, and it was really fun to see all smiles from the Georgia players as they got off the bus here today. And as you can probably tell from the video that you're watching, or maybe you can tell from this, really there were more people gathered along the rails. You know, last year at times, there was never an official dog walk last year because there were so few people in the stadium all the way around. There was never anything that really kind of amounted to an official dog walk. In fact, for a couple of games last year, Georgia essentially entered the stadium with almost no one standing around the typical area in which the dog walk usually occurs. Today, not quite like that. Today, there were a good number more fans kind of showing up, a lot of red and black jerseys, a lot of things along those lines, a lot of kids with their hands outstretched in the hopes of getting a high five. There were a couple of those to go around. Was able to spot a couple of Georgia injured wide receivers, George Pickens, Jermaine Burton, among the last of the Georgia players to make their way through the congregation of players that were moving from the buses inside Sanford Stadium to get fully dressed in their uniforms ready to play. Obviously, Burton, we expect back for Georgia sooner rather than later. For George Pickens, it's simply a question of whether or not he'll be able to play at all this year. And obviously, the injuries to those wide receivers, you know, stands as a little bit of a dark cloud over what else is going to happen today as Georgia crosses its fingers and hopes for, you know, you want to see an entertaining show. You want to see a good display of football, but given the injuries that Georgia dealt with a little earlier during spring practice, there's also the number one hope, I think, of all Georgia fans, coaches, players alike, that this day comes to a close with no other players showing up on an injury list, with none of those kinds of things. And obviously there's a great feeling around the stadium here today for those lucky enough to hold those tickets that today is going to be a really good day of football. It is warmer right now than maybe we anticipated it being. The sun is fully out and it's plenty warm here to the point where, you know, those of us who came layered with extra outerwear probably be stripping that off by the time the game gets going. Short sleeves will probably abound inside Sanford Stadium here today, maybe getting cooler again before it's all said and done. If you're curious here on our Kroger kickoff about the rosters themselves, as I told you before, the red team offense, the traditional first team offense paired with the second team defense. I'll give you a little bit of an idea about this red team offense for a moment. We'll show you some of this on the screen for you. Most of these first team offensive linemen are probably what you would expect them to be. Warren Erickson getting the nod there on the red team here today. Warren McClendon also, as you would expect, manning the right side. Jamari Salyer, Justin Schaefer, Xavier Truss. No real surprise there. It is interesting to note that Tate Ratledge is also on that red team offense there as well as kind of what you would assume a sixth offensive lineman. Now, you want to be careful not to read into that too much, but obviously for those who've been hearing the buzz that Ratledge has had a very productive spring for Georgia thus far, you know, this becomes even more ammunition for, does Ratledge eventually occupy a role similar to what Cade Mays or at one point in time maybe even Ben Cleveland would have done for this Georgia team as kind of that super sub sixth man, a guy who's capable of subbing in a number of positions, maybe the presence of Ratledge on that red team offense for today will give you a little bit more ammunition for a conversation like that. But interesting to see him join the other 5 there that I kind of assume would be the starting offensive line for that red team blocking for JT Daniels here today. As I mentioned, Daniels is the red team quarterback. He's also paired there with Stetson Bennett. If you're curious about running backs, the 2 red team running backs that are typically thought of as the first team guys, James Cook, Zamir White, the 2 seniors who came back here for the 2021 season, they are there in that spot. On the tight end side of things, it's John Fitzpatrick, who's the red team tight end, Darnell Washington on the black side of things here today. And then those receivers of the guys we expect to see play, Karis Jackson, the red team, Jalen Johnson, the former walk-on, who was a little bit of a guy who generated some buzz back during the summer. I know he played a lot in the scrimmage that some of the donors got to see before the start of the season. Was also on the field for Georgia some this past year. Jalen Johnson there, a part of that red team. And Demetrius Robertson is there as well. Justin Robinson is too. And some of the other receivers that were expecting to be injured. As far as the black team goes there, to go offensive line here with you for a moment, Austin Blasky, who's had seemingly a nice spring, gotten some praise from Kirby Smart at times. He's a part of that. I told you before that Darnell Washington is a black team tight end. That's a guy you can kind of throw to, obviously, if you're looking to see Carson Beck and Brock Vandergriff, the 2 quarterbacks on the black team, get involved there on that. You'll get a chance to see Darnell Washington be a big target for them today. Arian Smith is a receiver to know on that black team, along with Ladd McConkey, who had kind of gotten a little bit of interesting chatter thus far, too. One of those players that Georgia fans are curious to see a little bit more of. First team defense on the black side of things, of course, outside linebackers, Adam Anderson, Robert Beal, Nolan Smith. They are all there. Defensive backs, a lot of curiosity about them today. The veteran Latavius Brini, of course, Lewis Seen, Jalen Kimber gets that nod with the black team. Christopher Smith, Amir Speed, another one of those veteran signings from the class of 2017 who's looking for a bigger opportunity this year. He's there on that. And then you get to the defensive linemen, the Jalen Carters, the Jordan Davises. So a very impressive list. And, of course, you can go to DawgNation.com. Mike Griffith in his pregame blog has got a lot more about that for you there as well. As far as the recruiting part of this, there's one name we can add to our discussion here that's not something we had for yesterday on DawgNation Daily, although I believe Jeff Santel did have this for you at DawgNation.com. So we know in terms of guys who are here today, Jalen Walker, the recent UGA commit, he's expected to be here today. He's put it out there on Twitter that that's exactly what he's going to be doing. You have Christian Miller, a 2022 defensive lineman, who's also put it out on Twitter that he's planning on being here. Another name to add from the commit list. This is an exciting one, I would say, even though he stands as a UGA commit, long trip to get here, and obviously a contested recruitment, even with Georgia standing as the team that holds the pledge right now. Very interesting news to hear Bear Alexander, the very impressive 2022 defensive lineman out of the state of Texas, say that he is also going to be in attendance for G-Day here today. So 2 of the best recruiters, I think, for Georgia in this class of 2022, Walker and Alexander, both here today. And don't you know, they'll get a lot of attention as they walk around campus both before and maybe after the game there as well. A lot of UGA fans hoping to get a glimpse of them, and certainly Walker and Alexander, I would imagine, hoping to get a chance to bend the ear of some of the other recruits who are on hand from both the class of 2022 and the class of 2023 today, as far as why they need to make the same decision that Walker and Alexander have made, which is committing to the G. So exciting to have Jalen Walker here, exciting to have Christian Miller here, the UGA target, but big news that Big Bear Alexander leaving the state of Texas to come in here for G-Day here today. That is certainly an interesting thing. By way of full transparency, I'll also let you know that Mikael Williams, another big-time defensive line prospect, as many of you are well aware of, Williams has let it be known that he plans on being in Tuscaloosa for A-Day today, the Alabama spring game going on at the same time that Georgia G-Day does here on this Saturday afternoon. 7 SEC spring games in total today, so you get a chance, if you're home, to kind of check in on some of those. And, of course, on the SEC network for many days to come, you'll see a lot of those if you're curious to see how Bryce Young looks in Tuscaloosa, or, you know, new coaching staff at Auburn, quarterback competition going on at LSU. So a lot to follow, of course, with all of that. SEC Network Plus, the place to get Georgia's G-Day today. And, you know, don't forget that I know there's been some confusion about this, but for most of you, certainly if you have a smart TV, but, you know, more than half, 2/3, 3/4 of the audience ought to be able to watch this game today on your TV set. It is not an extra charge. If you're already an SEC Network subscriber, you also have access to SEC Network Plus here today. So a couple of clicks, even without a Roku or an Apple TV, which are typically some of the devices that help connect a computer to a television. For most of you, even without that, you have a very good chance of being able to watch this here today. All right, a couple of comments on both Facebook and YouTube. We'll get ready to roll out of here today. Epic Robinson checking in. Sounds like he's got himself a good lunch to get ready to watch today. You love to do that. Marcinio Askew says, all I know is the dog is going to win today. And obviously, that's pretty funny there as well. Steve Rogers says, looks like a perfect day for football. Yes, it is indeed. Wes Adcock wondering where Jeff Sintel is. Jeff is not with us here today in Athens. I think Jeff is here. I told a bunch of people earlier. I guess that I've made a liar out of myself here. I told a bunch of people that Jeff is not going to be here, but I think checking myself, maybe Jeff actually is here today. I don't know where he is right this second, but maybe he is coming here today. Isaac Cruz, good to see you checking in. Mike Lancaster wonders why you're not getting regular TV for this. And yeah, your guess is kind of as good as mine when it comes to all of that. But I'm glad nonetheless you're checking in on the Kroger kickoff, even if the video coverage for G-Day is not exactly what you want it to be. Banana Army checking in to say go Dogs on YouTube. Appreciate that. Brennan Hale checking in too. Going back and forth with our buddy G. Grace Bama Boy, who I'm sure is getting excited about his Alabama A-Day program here today too. Jason Crosby, and I think Jason speaks for a lot of Georgia fans when he says it's that offensive line and secondary that I'm looking forward to seeing here today. And I think that's where a lot of the attention is going to be. In fact, with that said, let me get ready to say goodbye to all of you and get ready to go check this out for myself. I do want to remind you of a couple of things before we let you go. As I've been telling you on DawgNation Daily this week, you know, with G-Day today, kind of the end of Georgia spring practice, but today starts the week of giving for the UGA Alumni Association. Kirby Smart has really been out there, and you've seen the video maybe on our website, calling all dogs to get involved with this, to make a donation to the University of Georgia through the Alumni Association here this week as they promote their week of giving between now and April 23rd. This is your chance to kind of get involved with that. There's a ton of incentives for you doing just that. Discount to the UGA bookstore. There's some embroidered patches that are being given away there as well. So this is your chance to get involved. Certainly support a great cause. Obviously, UGA doing so much for the current generation of students. The next generation of students are about to arrive. And of course, our great state and the world all around us. UGA has become truly a flagship institution for our state. And this is the week we get a chance to support that through the UGA Alumni Association and the Week of Giving. Here's the website you can go to learn a lot more about that. It's Calling All Dogs. And of course, as you see on your screen, dog spelled the way it's supposed to be, DAWGS, callingalldogs.uga.edu. You can get involved there, find out about the great incentives they have for you, discount the UGA bookstore, embroidered patches, so much else going on. So get involved, as Kirby Smart has challenged dog fans to do, those that care about this great university, there for the UGA Alumni Association's Week of Giving. And speaking of the UGA bookstore, I will be there after the game today, talking about everything that happens during G-Day and through the magic of video. I'll also be joined by the great former Georgia wide receiver Terrence Edwards for our DawgNation postgame show, presented this week by Kroger. So that's going to be fun, back on video after the game is done today. We don't get too many of these opportunities to settle in and watch some Georgia football. So many of the questions we've had about what's gone on this spring, we may get some of those answers, or at least get to see an eyewitness account of what expert testimony has told us from the inside reports there at practice. So hope you enjoy what's about to go down for G-Day. Thanks for letting us set you up for it here today on our Kroger kickoff. I'll see you back after the game for our DawgNation postgame show from the UGA bookstore, also presented today by Kroger. I'll look forward to talking to you then, everybody.